All right, this meeting is being recorded. That's pretty cool. What are we going to do here today? Today, we're going to go over the initial offering for the MONEYVERSE, for the MONEYVERSE Financial Holding Company, which is the financial holding company of Love Nation. There's going to be some things I cover today that may be out of the blue, but they are right on point when it comes to the offering. Um, I know a lot of times when people talk about securities, people just speak of a number, like we're going to have this number and sell it. There's much more involved. And this is a piece of what's involved getting our offering together, our offer right. What are we offering people? Today, we're going to be talking about perpetual bonds because, first off, Love Nation, it was created to help um, during this unique time. It's like a unique time in life. I think we can say that. Every time in life is a unique time in life. Yet it seems to be that this is a moment where governance, world governance, I guess is always changing. But specifically for a lot of people throughout the world looking to govern their finances themselves minimally. And then for some others are looking to govern their lives and their families' lives, and take better control of that. So what we see as Love Nation is there is a need for Aboriginal and Indigenous peoples all over the world to have support in the systems that they develop in their cities, their states, their towns, their communities, their fucking household, their backyard. If they develop in that, that's a victory these days. So yeah, there's certain systems that's needed. So at the end of the day, our funds and financing is in order to develop something that I've never seen in my life, and it is an actual active support system for Aboriginal and Indigenous people. That's really what it is. Like somewhere you can call and you guaranteed to get some solutions. How long do I perceive it's going to take Love Nation to develop into what it is designed to be? It may be about 20, 30 years, actually, to be honest. It may take a good 20, 30 years for the certain amount of people and systems to come together. So this is more like a extremely long-term investment. It's not a short-term investment, middle term, but it's a long-term investment, even though it's structured to provide people with medium-term and long-term benefits. What are we talking about? We're talking about this offering. So what I realize is if we want to make the world better, or at least our world better and our families' worlds better, there's a certain amount of finances that's necessary. When you think about things like, are people talking about reparations and things of these nature? Those are all finances. And what they're really saying is a certain amount of money would be necessary to repair our lives, to get us into a situation where we're comfortable mentally, physically, economically. If we were to put a number on that, it would be an extremely high number. All right. I attempted to one day, and it was in some trillions. It was like I added up how many people there were in the world, and that were impoverished, and how many dollars would it take for three of their generations, their next three generations, to be well off, and it well surpassed like $100 trillion per generation. So it was a pretty interesting number. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because when you think about things like even getting a rocket into Mars, right? Elon Musk, these guys had these ideas, and when they had these ideas, they didn't seem possible. I know right now a lot of people know it's possible to liquidate some negotiable instruments, right? Is it possible to pay some bills, but is it possible to get an unorganized group of people together, organized? Is it possible to reverse 9 generations of systemic oppression? Is it possible to get individuals who don't seem to be concerned with governance to self-govern themselves? Well, it's almost like we want to go to the moon. It's kind of like the same theory. It's a concept that's prayed for, but how do we actually do it? We're starting with building some systems, and our offering document is dedicated to being able to establish a foundation for a system that we think will take approximately 30 years to come out the top of the ground, just to sprout, and it'll take approximately 125 years to exist in totality. That's what I truly perceive. I perceive that and I'm saying this now with just a blank screen, not going over the documents, just to give you like my true perspective of this. It's not just my perspective, it's looking at the timeline of life and humanity. When people say, okay, even the ancient Aztec and Mayan prophesied that during the turning of the dawn of the age of Aquarius, there would be new systems that exist for mankind to experience a level of freedom that they have not experienced. And when you think about that timeline, that's every 2,150 years. So every 2,150 years, there's a new age, there's a new time. I know for a fact a lot of people talk about the age of Aquarius as if it's here today. Maybe it is, mentally and spiritually in that realm, it is. Nevertheless, if we're thinking about the stars and the signs and the symbols, that would be 2,150, the year 2,150, specifically 125 years from now. So we organize this offering in a way that could allow for unlimited amount of capital to be able to be developed and distributed in order to incentivize the type of actions and activities that's necessary to develop that quality of life for all. No, we're not humanitarians. Nevertheless, the sun shines on everybody. And Love Nation has a perspective that access to justice, access to poverty prevention services, access to food, water, shelter, clothing, and housing will not be a thing of like that people will wish and dream about. I don't think that's going to be something people are going to be wishing and dreaming about in 125 years from now. Let's just say that, right? The 2150 at that year. This may sound like a wild idea. It might, it may not. But I'm stating this clearly so that people can have proper expectations. With Love Nation, we are not anything that you can see right now. Whatever we're doing now is the seed being developed. It is not even the dirt or the soil or the plant or anything. And so, what this seed will become, even those people who creating the seed don't know. We simply know that it's a necessity for justice to be accessible. It's a necessity for people to have access to all of the remedies and the mechanisms to experience remedies in life without having to be doctors or lawyers or fucking high level logistics specialists and people who comb through laws 24/7 and trial and error to the point of no return and risking their lives just to try to implement legal strategies and solutions. Definitely don't perceive that that's going to be the time of the future. So what we're doing is what I perceive we can do to help create a new world that's naturally happening. So that's just an introduction. Yes, Love Nation perceives that the world will be adjusted, and we perceive that there's finances needed to incentivize people to live the type of lifestyle they really wish to live. And that goes for everything, meaning there's people who want to be free. They want to eat fruits and vegetables with their family. And I guarantee you right now, it would be very interesting attempting to transition them into that lifestyle if you couldn't pay them. And that's what this offering is about. The offering is about providing the finances needed for people to live the life that they wish to live. And I literally mean incentivizing people's lifestyle. So say the single mother or the regular family, whatever, that wants to live peaceful. Let's just say peaceful on a farm of 10 acres and homeschool their children and teach them right, right? If they put their budget together, they say, man, that shit is going to cost me 250,000 a year plus 200,000. So say that family said that that's going to cost them a half a million a year, right? Let's just imagine a family say, hey, man, to get out of this poverty situation, just to get a peaceful mentality is going to cost a half a million. Now, what we're saying as Love Nations is there should be programs operations and systems in play, knowing the financial system, how it works, right? With negotiable instruments, bills of exchange, knowing that value can be created, letters of credit. There should be unique financial options for people to do just that, to be incentivized to live the life that's going to be better for them, better for the community, and better for everybody. So that's the vision, and we do see that this could be extremely profitable. So I'm going to go into the offering a little bit here. We see it could be extremely profitable for a reason that I'm going to state. I'm not going to read. Our main line of business, y'all, is we provide registries. The main line of business is for Love Nation is we provide registries for people to register assets, for people to register documentations of value, security agreements, trust companies, constitutions, governing documents, things of this nature. Registries themselves is our number one operation. In order to get items on the registry, people have to go through services, right? The service may be forming a company, it may be issuing a letter of credit, it may be starting a bank account, it may be, issuing a note, starting a family tribe. But all of these services, underneath these services, in order to cater these services, are registries. Registries hold information, and information is the number one asset in the world right now. Data is more of a valuable asset than anything, gold included, and diamonds and all that. So Love Nation has developed a series of registries that allow Aboriginals and Indigenous persons to register all forms of assets. Now let's get into this bond. I'm going to show this first page, and then we're going to get into what this really means by going to some examples of perpetual bonds. And why is managing registries an important aspect of business? Well, if you think of a nation or a tribe or county or country, it is literally the collection of the registries which make them what they are. The registries include the tax files. The registries include the county doc, the deeds of records, the deeds of recording. The registries includes the intellectual property filings, copyright, trademark registries. And families and indigenous tribes and nations, in order to operate, rely on registries as well. Registries also hold contracts, right? Constitutions, things of that nature. So, and assets are registered on registries. Stock exchanges are registries. They're registering groups of assets that could be traded. When the trades occur, they're registered on a registry. These registries are called bank accounts. Right or wrong, fellas, ladies, and gentlemen? Y'all feeling me here?
Yep.
Oh, most definitely, I'm with you, bit dog.
I feel y'all.
I was gonna say, I was just looking into that because that's where they do all the legal notices, and that's how you actually file your documentation as like a nation.
Facts. It's literally just a collection of registries. Everything that goes on the registries, people tend to focus on. Yeah, things that go on the registries are called commerce or business, right? It's like, okay, excuse me. You have two different types of assets. You have money of accounts with two types of money of accounts and money of exchange. Money of exchange is the money that you got in your pocket, money in your debit and checking accounts. The money of accounts is money that's documented in registries. Registry money or money of accounts, it totally outweighs money of exchange. We're going to visit the Constitution really quick just to go over the registries. And we're doing this because this is the main aspect of the business and of the business of a nation, of the tribes. This is really the thing that is an infrastructure. When we talk about an infrastructure, it's literally a collection of registries and the technology it takes for your registries to be able to be integrated in other systems. So other systems may be nations, maybe counties, maybe international organizations. Your registries being incorporated and integrated to their registries turns you into something called a member of the world society. All right, so here goes the list of registries. And you'll notice registries are saying non-SWIFT or non-UN. This means that these registries are compatible with the SWIFT or the UN, yet they are our own private ones. So let's talk about the registries. The non-SWIFT ISIN security registry. This is, I know right now, for ease and for the sake of efficiency, let's just say that we're working with other national numbering agencies of other countries in order to issue our ISIN numbers initially. Nevertheless, we already currently at this very moment have a non-SWIFT ISIN security registry where we can issue our own ISIN numbers. The only thing about that is I do not want to put our people through collectively the battles of enforcing our right to do such a thing. Okay, though it is lawful, when it comes to enforcing your right to do such a thing, you got to have the power of politics, the power of numbers behind you, and just 10 people or 12 people saying, hey, here goes our registry, we need the world courts to respect it, is interesting proposal. Not saying it's impossible. Yet a non-SWIFT ISIN security register is similar to it's the exact same code as all other ISIN security registries, but we run it non-SWIFT ISRC registry. Now, this security registry is for securities, and it's ran by Expect Trust, which we'll go over a hierarchy of departments in a minute. And Expect Trust is a subsidiary of the New Bank of Brahman, which is our central bank. But that's one registry. Another registry, non-SWIFT ISRC registry. This is for intellectual property, copyrights, and trademarks. Registries, every country has the right to have their own registry, or every sovereign entity, or every unique economic zone. There's a few things that allow you to have what's called a jurisdiction. Every international organization, every supranational organization, these types of organizations have the right to do what they must, right? To handle these roles for themselves and for their members, which is the roles of creating these registries in accordance with international law. So the non-SWIFT ISIL, CFI, and FISN registry, these are in regards to banking and securities as well, right? So this number identifies financial instruments. Excuse me. This is an identifier for securities as well. And this is for institutions registering, right? The thing about it is Expect Trust will be issuing these numbers as well, which is a subsidiary of Love Nation. Expect Trust will be issuing these numbers. The Department of our Secretary of State will be issuing these numbers. The non-UN low code registry. This is literally just we don't have any. Well, right now, I guess this location we can start our first fucking public or our first library. But this non-UN low code registry is typically the registry that if you research these registries, you'll see this is the registry that's typically utilized for countries to identify their public libraries, museums, and things of that nature. The Community Vessel Registry. This registry, of course, is for vessel registries, vessels to be registered. I know a lot of indigenous and aboriginal persons have the spiritual belief that their body is a vessel and it is not, they are not humans. They can actually manifest and document that reality in our community. The Community Banking Registry, this is another for banking, but specifically for bank identification codes and international bank account numbers. So we need bank account numbers and to identify different banks within the MONEYVERSE network, because MONEYVERSE Financial Holding Company currently has 3 such institutions. One, a New Bank of Brahman. Second, Expect Trust. Third, the MONEYVERSE. These are financial banking institutions that are under the fold of MONEYVERSE Financial Holding Company. Any member who completes the tribal banking certification will be qualified to get a tribal banking license. Then they'll be qualified to get their own BIC and IBAN registry codes from our community banking registry. Again, the way that this stuff works, didn't get too deep, but the International Standards Organization is a third party that creates standards for creating these numbers and national numbering agencies. And every country has the right to establish an agency to issue these search numbers. And that's how the world works. And being another part of the puzzle, which so much information I want to show, but being another piece of the puzzle, we have the right to do such as well. What's really interesting though about these institutions is I'm beginning, as I talk to them, I'm beginning to notice that it's a club for sure. National IDs and passports, that's a registry to some degree. We'll be registering our national IDs and passports. Hold on, my door just closed in a funky way. All right, but yeah, national IDs and passports. We have the ability to issue our own. We have absolutely zero issued at this very moment. Machines will do the job. We have the designs, yet machines. And there's a law specifically for passports and national IDs. I don't mean laws, but codes, specific international codes that must be followed for them to be acceptable and machine readable passports. And when it comes to national IDs, it's less of a, there's less code. Hold on, give me 1 second. But there is a such thing called the Real ID Act. That's national in the United States of America. Very easy to issue IDs that's in accordance with that act. And the IDs definitely will be accepted international. I'm learning these IDs because I have had a tribal ID as well. Tribal IDs definitely get accepted all over. Anyway, we're talking about registries. Another registry in relation to the offering, government issued documents. So what you'll notice if you go to Love Nation American Indians right now, you can see how the system is set up actually. I haven't incorporated all the documents, but there are actually some that are incorporated. For instance, you can verify any temple document you get from the Temple of Love Nation. The Secretary of State documents you can verify here. Legal documents that you get from us and or me get verified there. Verify any trust or company document here. Licensing document, banking document, letter of credits. If people need to verify bank draft that were issued by our central bank, another bank needs to verify it, or somebody you pay needs to verify it, they'll be able to verify things here. How? Each one of these links you can click and it'll go to a place where you can verify it, right? Enter the document ID. Every document that's issued typically have an ID at the lower bottom right corner if there's issued by Love Nation. Even up until this point, most of all of your trust documents have such a number. If you notice, you will notice. And yeah, you'll be able to search the document ID here and search. If you don't have the right number, it's going to tell you don't got the right number. If you do, a link to the document will pop up. If you got any questions, you can inquire here. But that's just to show how verification of documents will be capable of being accessed, at least how they can be accessed from the website. And the registries, again, is the number one area of business for Love Nation. That's why we are talking about them. As a matter of fact, all the value of all the data collected on the registries is the total value, is the GDP, is equal to the GDP of the Love Nation. We will explain how that works. Government issued documents. Okay, so Secretary of State oversees and administers the issuance of and online registries for all documents. So that's essentially the mechanism that's currently in play, right? For that operation, which is right here, right? So that's when people say, "What is Love Nation?" Really, that's the heart. It's the registries. Now, everything else is literally to get information on the registries, and meet people where they are in the place where they perceive they need whatever, right? So some people I need my company, or I need some money, or I need the bills paid, or I got this issue, I need some justice, right? So all of these areas of need, or I need my business to be booming, or I need credit, right? So there's all things that people typically need, and we attack those needs in the form of services from our departments and our enterprises. Tribal courts anywhere throughout the territories where we currently may exist, whether we got 1 or 0 or 25 people or 1,000,000 people in those locations. So what am I saying? I'm saying services, systems, and courses which have not even been shown here. We're not going to get into that right now for various reasons. Nevertheless, through the services, systems, courses, people interact with our departments and enterprises, right? And through the interactions, documents get created, contracts get created, and those documents and contracts and registries collective, they all could end up in the registries, whether that's a document to register an asset, evaluate an asset, a contract application. This is how cities, states, nations, counties, countries, tribes run, and we aren't changing that just because we exist. All of that data collectively will end up in a registry. All of it will be assessed for value. And just like the United States of America and all other countries, all things can be utilized and are backed with the full faith and credit of the United States of America, they say. So these will be with the full faith and credit of Love Nation. But what does that mean? It simply means that the documents and the value of the documents are acceptable throughout all of the territories. So if your application is for $100,000, it is $100,000 security, and it's accepted as such all throughout the territories. That's essentially what full faith and credit is. It's the acceptance of the value of documents throughout various territories. Okay, let's take this back to some tangible documentation of money right now, because that's what this is about to some degree. Satisfying the governmental budget that's necessary in order to carry out the duties of the nation and the tribes to come, and the families to come, and the trusts to come. So this is an overstanding of 7 key registries, okay? 7 key registries, Article 11 of the Constitution. So now that we have an overstanding of what the core of the company really is, let's get into this perpetual bond. But before I get into this perpetual bond, let's get into what is a perpetual bond, because I think that it's pretty interesting just to know that such a thing exists. Okay, this is not the route we're going. Boom. And really anybody can say anything now. Anybody want to say anything about anything thus far?
I was just going to say I appreciate you breaking down all the components of the nation and going through them in depth.
No problem. I appreciate it, man. This is not even in depth, but this is just a little deeper. This is just a little deeper. It's like, I appreciate you, though. Definitely. The depths is deep, but this is cool. This is another level. And I appreciate it. So these perpetual bonds, man. What is a perpetual bond, y'all? It's basically, okay, so your word is your bond. Just remember, your word is your bond. We're taking it back to the old school. So the old school is the new school. Word is your bond. I promise to pay you. That is some money, right? I order to pay you. That is some money. It's an actual money order according to law, state law, federal law. Ain't got shit. They don't say nothing about no routing numbers and no accounting numbers. Okay, state laws, international law don't got shit to do with no accounting and no routing number. You will read that the first place where you read about an accounting or routing number is in the manuals. When it comes to legality, IRS manual on payment remittances gets into talking about some accounting numbers and routing numbers. And then you also deal with these codes, International Standard Organization. But just remember, International Standardization Organization is not even law, it's standards. So this system that we're playing with is not even necessary to play with, meaning these ISIN numbers, yeah, they's real. Yeah, it lets us be real smooth and swift in a system. We can experience the benefit. We will experience the benefit. Yet, no, that's not the goal. Even though we're doing that, the goal is to make sure that that's not even needed, because it's not needed. And the only reason why people are not having money is because we acting like that shit's needed. So we gonna get it though, but it ain't needed. What's needed is for people to know it ain't needed. But until you get it, if you don't get enough people to know it's not needed, is needed. Y'all feel me?
Oh, that was a fact. That should be a scripture.
It's real as fuck. It's real as fuck. That's why we showed you like this is none. We said non-Swift ISIN numbers, non-Swift ISO numbers. I don't want to get too deep into that, but yeah. So your word is your bond, and it's always been your bond. The world still respects your word as your bond because you got promissory notes out here, discharging debts, satisfying bills. You got orders to pay. That's an order. That's not payment. I order you to pay. That is not payment. I promise you to pay. But I promise I'm gonna pay. That is what people are literally, technically, lawfully capable of getting the job done with these days. That means that the spiritual shit really works, like JC said. Your word is your bond, and this perpetual bond. And I just had to say that. I mean, I pray my man's beat the case if it's fake. If it's real, hey, I love karma, man. Even when it comes to me, it is what it is. What is perpetual bond? So a perpetual bond basically is when you say, hey, I promise I'm going to pay you for life for you investing right now. That's really what it's saying. Hey, I'm going to give you payments for life. Now, a lot of perpetual bonds, when you start researching them, they're typically issued by a state or a nation. Check. They also typically have very small interest rates, like 3%, 5% maximum, or some shit like that. You know, technically, it's considered equity, even though it's a promise to pay, because it's perpetual. Yet, what they say is that they don't believe, a lot of people don't believe that they're always perpetual. But I'm about to show you that they have been and they still are perpetual. Why don't people believe? Because you can do this thing called callable. You can call the bond back if you issue it. Say I issue you a bond, bow, it gives you 20% interest. That means you put in 100, you get 20% interest every year. So you put 100, you get $20 every year. If it's a perpetual bond, you get $20 per year for life. All right, forever. And if you transfer that to your children after they die, it's a legacy bond. They can get it. Then they transfer it to their kids. They can get it. So I was thinking about an actual, like, I'm a reverse engineer. Above all things, I reverse engineer. I come from the perspective of, since infinite wealth is possible, and since people shall experience that reality, what type of things occurred in the world in order to ensure that happens? That's how I live life. Like it's reverse. So I'm like, since prosperity is real, since you know poverty isn't real, since infinite wealth is real, and since I'm able to experience this world where people don't perceive it's real, I know that there will be a time when people perceive it's real. And I had to say, okay, what type of instruments, what type of deals could have been possible to make people know that it was real, right? So then I just did research, realized this was the best thing on the market. This is the best type of money I ever seen in my life. Best investment in the universe. First off, with these offerings, you get to define your terms, right? So we can make a perpetual bond, which means people could pay, they can get paid forever for investing in us. Then it's like, okay, is this a Ponzi scheme? How are you going to pay people forever, Kyle? What are you talking about? Okay, let's just give a couple of examples of some people who have been getting paid forever. Do I have some of these documents up? When I want to pull them up, it should just pop up. Well, there we go. My research, yeah, definitely didn't get too deep into this here. But there's I just want to show you a news article real quick. A couple people, some nations, some states, some people that got perpetual bonds still paying them 400, 500, 600 years ago. Just to show you, this ain't nothing out the blue. Let's click on some news. Just real quick. So a forever bond, they call it forever bond, issued 400 years ago, still pays interest. So, you know, you can check that out. Somebody's still getting paid interest, and this bond got issued before slavery times, they say, right? So they say the stock exchange, New York Stock Exchange, is the holder of it, and they getting their interest payments. I don't know specifically how many interest payments or what's the percentage. You can do some research there. This is just to give you some general understanding that there are bonds that people are getting paid infinite rates on. Okay, so I want you to see your perpetual bond. So African Development Bank, they are doing a historic perpetual non-call. That means they're never going to call it back, which means this shit should be hitting forever and ever and ever and ever and never, ever, ever not paying interest payments. Okay? African Development Bank, rated AAA, successfully launched peak order book of 6 billion reads. So they did 6 billion, 10.5 year USD sustainable capital transaction. Long story short, they just raised over 6 billion from 275 people. It's paying 5.75%. What? So they can call date. Oh, so they can call, it's callable in 10.5 years. What are they talking about? It's not callable. Long story short, what callable means is when the company who issued it, when they can say, hey man, I'm about to buy it back from you. You feel me? Y'all feel me? Baby not. All right.
I feel you. We feel you.
So let's just do the 20% game. If I issue any instrument at 20%, every 5 years is a double up for the investor. So for instance, say you invest 100 at 20%, every 5 years you get $100. So if you put $100 in, every 5 years you get 100, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? If you put 100 in and it's a 25% bond, every 4 years you'll get 100, right? But for life forever. So this is just, y'all can do some research on your own about the perp bonds. I just want you to know that they exist. It's real. It ain't nothing that just came out the wasabi. Yet this is our offering, right? And it's actually a few stages. I'm just going to get into the generalisticness of it. So it's a 33% guaranteed perpetual bond. It's guaranteed because its payments are guaranteed by a new Bank of Brahman, by a bank. I realized something else, but I don't want to get into it right now just to confuse people. But I realized that when a offering is guaranteed by a bank, even if it's a foreign bank, it's automatically exempt, and it could be marketed and it could be sold to the public, which is really, really, really deep. Anyway, there's no maximum offering amount. This reflects the information that's on our Form D. The Form D you can find. This should be clickable and go to the Form D. All right, so if you go here, peoples, you'll notice our notice of exempt offering. This Form D is just showing, I'm sure everybody on this line has heard it before. It's showing we register our income, which includes tax exempt interest received. We also show that this is an offering that has infinite capacity, right? Indefinite offering amount, and it could be offered indefinitely. So there's no maximum amount, and this is reflected in the offering document. It states that there is no maximum offering amount, no maturity date, but this is callable in 125 years. Why? Because technically Love Nation is here to do its job, bringing in the new world in the age of Aquarius for it to shine bright. And technically 2150 is 125 years from now. I'm just saying, man. So based upon those thoughts, it lets me perceive that if every 25 years is a generation, we have approximately 5 more generations to get this shit together, is all I'm saying. And we can be a little patient, but really aggressive at the same time. And that's what this offering represents. It's aggressive because we'll be providing people with returns, and it's patient because we're incentivizing actions that we know we won't see a social result for years to come. Yet economically, we can get those results immediately. All right. So we can issue an unlimited amount of money. MONEYVERSE credits is what we're calling these. MNYV credits. MONEYVERSE credits is the name of these securities, right? The value is this: 1 unit of money, which we call MONEY. I want everybody to know we do have a cryptocurrency that's called money as well. So this security is automatically securitized and tokenized. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the security is already tokenized and securitized. Shall we say the value is securitized and tokenized. Money, this word MONEY, technically is the name of the token that was actually created about 1.5 years ago for this moment. Yet 10 units of money is $100,000. 1 unit of money is $10,000. When you look at the dollars, also, I want everybody to read the fine print. The US dollar is not based on what you think the dollar is worth now, but throughout this offering, the value of USD is calculated in accordance with the Coinage Act of 1792. So what this means is that 1 US dollar is technically 371 and 4/16 or 1.25 grains of pure gold, okay, or standard silver, right? And what this technically means is, if you want to just do the value of, I don't know what the value is today, but 27 grams of standard silver is what $1 technically is, according to the Coinage Act of 1792. But I'm here to tell y'all that a United States dollar, as written in the Coinage Act of 1792, is not a Federal Reserve note. A Federal Reserve note is not a United States dollar, even though they call it dollars. Very important to know. The United States dollar is definitely, has been, and it always is, relative to underlying currency or commodity of silver and gold. And it still is. Never has changed. So dollars are notes issued by the Federal Reserve, yet USD are the United States dollars that is referenced in the Coinage Act of 1792. So for instance, $1 being 0.0001 unit of money means that 0.001 unit of money is equal to, if today 27 standard grams of silver is $30.24, somewhere around there. But we can go and we can look, but I don't want to go into that deep. But do y'all feel me there?
Yep, you felt.
All right, cool. Appreciate you 1,000,000,000,000,000%. So that's how we rolling and rocking right there. That keeps the dollar, or at least our dollar currency, based on something that's more stable. That's just how we look at that. Annual interest payments are guaranteed by letter of credit, essentially, that's issued by a new Bank of Brahman. The letter of credit is transferable, UCP 600 transferable credits. I've read many offering documents, y'all. What I know is you can create your own. You can have it, meaning this is a unique offering. This is not a copied PowerPoint, or this is definitely not a copied memorandum. It's definitely not one of those. This is more of like a unique offering. Okay, so now we just get into basically, so this is like the overview, right? People who purchase it, they get 33 annual rate of return. But how do we promise this, y'all? Let me explain the depthness of this just by staying on this page really quickly. See, the way the world is working right now, right, is we all know that there's many forms of value, many forms of currency, cryptocurrency, letters of credit, securities, all these things, right? And we realizing that some parties have made it seem as if there's only a couple of forms of money. And the systems don't seem to allow all the different various forms of money to flow well and be liquid, right? So what this system that we're developing with the MONEYVERSE Financial Holding Company is technically going to allow all of these different forms of value to be utilized, because what we're paying people with and redeeming people with is the same type of value that they're purchasing, which are MONEYVERSE credits, meaning someone's investing in MONEYVERSE credits and they will be rewarded with MONEYVERSE credits. The interest payments are coming as MONEYVERSE credits and all the above. You understand what I'm saying? So when you can control your source of funds, you can control your capability of providing your return on investment. Can I say that? I'm going to say that 75 more. Well, not, but I'm going to say it 3 more times. When you can control your form of currency and your method of payment and your interest payment method, when you have control over the very issuance and distribution of such an item, then you can control your ability to fulfill your promises to pay people, your promises to provide them with interest, and your promises to provide them with principal, if ever called this bond. Another thing is we're playing for the future. We are playing this game for the future. And what we know is the same thing that people know in 2009 when they bought Bitcoin. They knew that this shit was amazing. They knew that this is going to change the world. Now, what we have on our hands is evidence that it's going to be all right, meaning Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these various forms of currencies hit the market. We got people in their everyday life talking about securities and liquidating them now. You got people sending shit to the treasury. Long story short, the money game is changing rapidly. And you have these different networks like Stellar Network, IoT, IOTA, XRP, all these fuckers is coming out because all of these are new payment rails. It's just like a Swift is going to be. You know, like right now, the game is changing slowly, yet when it snaps, it's going to be a snap, crackle, and pop type of situation. And in that situation, people are going to really start to realize what they hear, but they don't realize now, which is all these things are money. So what we're saying with our offering here, right? If we go to some definitions, okay, let's just go here really quickly. But what we're saying is that we're issuing the security, the interest and the principal payments shall be in authorized MONEYVERSE credits. We know, and we're banking, well, we don't know, but we're banking on a future market for our securities. As we do things such as get our ISIN numbers, do things such as get our infrastructure tight, connect with Swift network, get our ledgers popping, our registries in order. As we do things like that and register our cryptos, get our securities and all that good, start creating our liquidity pools. These are actual operational steps. As we do those things, then our actual securities and our tokens and any negotiable instruments and any payment instruments we have, they then have this thing called a market. Once we have an established market, then we can be certain that our interest payments and principal payments to the investors are liquid gold. Prior to that, our investors and us, we are banking on the future liquidity of our securities, even though we know that that's possible. It's still, we can't promise it. It's you know what I'm saying? It's just extreme liability when you go to promising some shit like that or guaranteeing it. But let's get specific here, right? We can guarantee something though. We can't promise it. I can guarantee that those interest payments are going to be paid from, or those interest payments are going to be satisfied from a third-party bank via transference of some letters of credit, though, that's already currently held in trust. You feel me? Don't want to get too deep, but that's a fact. We can do that. We can guarantee them interest and principal payments going to hit. Now, the securities represented herein are securitized tax-exempt interest, and other financial interests. This is very important, y'all, because this has a lot to do with all y'all businesses, and we're going to get into why. The securities are securitized tax-exempt interest and other financial interests of indigenous entities and tribal governments registered and deposited in Love Nation. What does this mean? Okay, let's go to the next sentence first. The securities are customary forms of legal tender for members of Love Nation. So we're saying that these securities, they are legal forms of payment for our members, right? And we're saying that they are securitized things. What has been securitized? Tax-exempt interest. That's interest issued by taxable entities, by governments and charities. When you issue interest, which we'll get into methods of doing that, or you transfer securities, it's tax-exempt. Other financial interests of entities. Now, what are other financial interests? Any negotiable instrument, any asset that was documented, registered in our system, because that's one of our major systems we'll talk about. It's really one of the core. It's the money machine, which I still haven't exposed. I've talked about, but we can get to that. The money machine. People get register their assets, evaluate the assets, tokenize it, and securitize it. Bow, bow, bow. Just like that. Now that is real. Any asset that somebody has, y'all, is worth some value. So by documenting that asset, that's what monetization, that's the beginning of monetization, turn that value into assets. And that is our number one business. That's the number one thing we do. Turn things into value. Take value, document it, store it, and turn it into some monetization type of method. Now, because of that, we're banking on, I'm banking that the amount of value that we could store, register, and tokenize, it far outweighs the amount of value that we would have to provide outward to our investors, even with the perpetual bond operating. So things such as all the contracts, all the documents, all the letters of credit, applications, promises to pay, bills of exchange, any and all of these things, companies formed, meeting notes, audio recordings, videos, photos, any and all of these things are value in the central bank of Love Nation. That's our number one business. We just like other countries and states and cities, we just telling you the truth, like they do. And I learned that telling the truth is one of the most deadliest things you could do. People, they would so much rather get lied to and feel good than to be hearing the truth and feel bad. I'm telling you. All right. I get that too, because sometimes I'd rather a lady just lie to me. Girl, just lie to me. Please do it good. Anyway, somebody gotta feel me. Maybe yes, somebody don't. The Moneyverse crash. So we here, we still live. Niggas is still available. Let me go to the. We had 3 people on. Let's see if we still 3 people strong.
We good.
All right, we good. Is this some valuable information or not?
No, it is valuable because I mean, I was literally just reading about the Federal Registry. You know what I'm saying? The Federal Register, and just like how that's where all these notices. So when we talk about these liens, when they say, "Oh, we're filing this," like they're filing it with the Federal Register. You know what I'm saying? And they're putting all that shit in there. So I get it. Like that's I don't know, chief depository before they get to the DTC. You know what I'm saying? That's where you notate everything.
I feel you.
So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, and from my standpoint, it really just helps. It helps me prioritize because it's like life, right? It's really like life. I don't want to get too deep, but I'll just say this. It's like food. Let's just say food. That's a simpler one. We want to eat. We know we want to eat. You might have an idea of what you want to eat. You can smell it and taste it. You're like, yeah, man, I want to eat that. Some whatever. I might want some salmon, mashed potatoes, and some green beans or some shit. I can smell it and taste it. Now, the time it's gonna take to cook or think about planting that food or growing it all, man, I ain't trying to deal with that. We just gonna go get this food real quick. You feel me? That's how we want it. That's how we want everything. And it ain't really nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's just not really how the world works. So even though we get to experience the world like that, it's really not how it works. You feel me? Somebody had to plant that shit. Somebody had to fish. Somebody had to do all of this shit for me to have this meal. So I say that to say, if I was the fisherman or if I was the person responsible for making sure people eat, my focus is making sure I can catch the fish and making sure that that farm is running. But if I'm the person that's in charge of cooking and making sure these people is eating, right? Then I just need that food right now in my motherfucking restaurant. I don't give a fuck about the farmer. You understand what I'm saying?
I feel.
I say that to say because in this nation or this tribe or when dealing with people, everybody, some people got a different area of importance, right? Some people like, man, listen, we need, and it ain't nothing wrong with it. Some people like, man, we need this clickable right now so we can get this service done. I'm thinking, okay, the service is part, it really gonna end up on the registry. The registry's needed. You feel me? So it might be, and then I also, at least for Love Nation, since we're on this topic, I wanted to go through and make sure all the services could be fulfilled first and then make sure they could be automated so that we could deal with multiple persons. You feel me? So it was like a phase. It was more so of a phase thing.
I get it.
And
You had to build it in pieces.
It ain't even built. You know, it's just it's being built. It's being built, and that's what offerings are for, is to ensure that things can operate at the capacity that they deserve to operate at. Man. So,
hey, let me ask you real quick.
Yeah.
In terms of the letter of credit, okay, what's the primary way that you're using that right now?
Well, I mean, most people want remedy. It's almost like that food that you eating, but man, I'm the farmer, so I get satisfaction out of knowing I got the fruit. I get satisfaction of making sure that it's happening. My satisfaction now is knowing that I know and knowing that I did it, knowing that I got it, knowing that it's documented. I got letters of credit registered. I've been doing some things with some companies, you know, just seeing how they respond to the letters of credit. You know, but I know what my game plan is to utilize them in the most efficient manner. Meaning, you got to know law is law. Then the documents could be legal, but then the system for integrating them is the key. So how do you integrate letters of credit in this world? See, this world is used to dealing with the systems, not the law, right?
For sure.
So even though it's legal, it's boom, boom, bam. It's like, what system do letter of credits actually go through? Well, they go through the same thing as a mortgage. They just get securitized and sold. So that's what we're doing. At the end of the day, it's like that's what's going to help these people in this worldly system. What we're also doing is making sure that all assets can be documented and become valuable, because a letter of credit is just as valuable as you promising to pay somebody $1 million, which is just as valuable as your cousin hugging your other cousin, say, "Man, I love you," and your cousin said, "Man, that felt like $1 million." Do you understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
So how do you take that hug and what do you do with that value, that million? See, that to me, that's the letter of credit that I'm looking to monetize, because it's the same process for niggas like us. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we can have the right paperwork and we know this. We can have all the right everything and we know this. We know that we're up against a system and a fraternal structure throughout the world where they say yay and nay and they be ready to take it to court, Craig. You feel me? Which means I'm well aware, and I'm just well aware of the enforcement and the good old boys clubs that still exist. Meaning, I can answer, how have I used my letter of credit? Well, I have letter of credit. I registered my security interest. Okay. I registered a secured interest. I documented them. I utilize them in portfolio values. You know, when you have your assets, you prove your assets. So I use them because, you know, you can use different shit for different shit. It's going to be like, okay, I can prove I got these assets. Come on, what you going to do? I mean, I got some shit some income that I register with taxes. I mean, so a lot of shit they may not. Okay, you might not pay me in USD. It's cool. I'm cool with that. I know how to register that income with the taxes.
Right.
Somebody gonna pay somehow.
So you know how to get it.
I'm not saying that's how it should be, though.
No, I agree.
This is totally how it not should be. What we're developing is how
You trying to remove all that. That's the whole point. No, I get it, bro.
Yeah, we just want to make sure, bro. Look, energy is energy. It never dies, and we just here to create a system that proves that. So if value is value and it never dies, if you hug somebody and they told you, man, you just made me feel better, bro. That just light my day. And okay, if you ask them, bro, how much would that be? Like if you had cash unlimitedly, how much would you pay for that feeling? And man, I'd have gave you 20,000, 30,000 right there. Because I was feeling down. You feel me? Okay, bet. So that was worth 20,000, 30,000 to you. Just document it. Write that shit down.
Feel it.
Because honestly, in the world of securities, it's a security. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that people do things every day that's evidence of their value, and we're simply going to allow that value to turn into money with this type of system. That's what this is. That's what other financial interests are.
That's what this whole system is. It's full faith and credit, right?
Specifically focused on spiritual galactical assets more so than digital and physical, but they all add up because the money machine, its patent pending technology is that it allows any form of asset, specifically in these four categories, which is galactical assets, spiritual assets, digital assets, and physical assets, to be registered, valuated, tokenized, and securitized. So that's the process. It's a unique process to register, evaluate, tokenize, and securitize galactical, spiritual, physical, and digital assets. That's the technical term of the money machine. It's a patentable, it's a patent pending technology. But that's the core of basically what makes any and all things possible. Like at the end of the day, we can talk about that later. But so the table of contents. I mean, we can talk. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but we can talk about it later. The table of contents, though, right? This is just going over. I'm not going to get too deep into this. This is just showing the different information that's placed in here. Since this organization does not have a history of existence, its file is thin, and that's what we communicating. Hey, we don't got no history of existence. We don't have certain things. In your offering document, you don't have to lie. As a matter of fact, your offering document is about giving them as many of the truths, of the ugly truths you can, and you do that in your caveat section. Or you might just let them know what you don't have, so that they can't say that they made a decision to invest in you based upon some faulty ass information. That's really what this document is for. This document is for fucking your ass to be covered, quote unquote. I couldn't come up with anything to say, but it's to cover your situation, to make sure that people can't say, hey man, this man sold me a dream. No, we clearly stated that your payments were going to be in MONEYVERSE credits. You see what I'm saying? We clearly stated that, whatever we stated up in here, which you can read through the summary, you'll read through just everything. We're a Jersey trust, certain transactions, the liquidity of our capital resources, results of the operations, right? Security for payments of the credit. That's pretty deep. Credits, description of the credits, right? What are these credits? What's the description? Let's go to 2021 just to see real quick. Okay, plan of distribution. So offering of credits. The credits will be offered, okay, to prospective lenders directly from the company. You know how people go to the 10K and the 8K of these security companies to try to hold them accountable to their words, basically?
Yep.
It's the same here. So when you're creating these documents, you want to make sure that you're not creating your death, right? So you want to put in truthful statements and also make sure that you're not leading people on. So the MONEYVERSE, so yeah, we offering this through private placement. We saying the credits are offered on best efforts basis. There's no assurance. Here we go. And there's no assurance that any or all of the credits will be closed. So that's one type of what you can say caveat, but there's many, many more caveats, right? We got the power to pay fees and commissions Okay, you're just telling them things of the nature. What are the credits? So we get to detail on the credits here. This is actually, I've never seen this in a document, in an offering document. Let me just say that. MONEYVERSE credits. I mean, I read a lot of the offering documents, but anyway, MONEYVERSE Financial Holding Company is offering an indefinite amount of USD, an indefinite amount of USD valued money credits. So it's USD valued MONEYVERSE credits. And we have a definition section that defines MONEYVERSE credits real quick. So MONEYVERSE credits. MONEYVERSE credits is an uncapped investment consisting of an unlimited amount of securitized interest issued as perpetual bonds by MONEYVERSE Financial Holding Company. So MONEYVERSE credits are these securities, okay? Uncapped. That's technically, I mean, I'm just showing y'all, right? This is how it goes, right? We're only giving it, this is only available to accredited investors who satisfy investor suitability requirements. So it's accredited investors only, minimum purchase of $1, which we realize is 27 fine grams of silver, which is currently rated at like $30 or something like that. Per MONEYVERSE credit, payable in any form of qualified collateral as deemed by Love Nation at the time of the subscription. You see, so we letting them know that we accept various forms of payment as well. The minimum purchase is one MONEYVERSE credit of faith. We call a MONEYVERSE credit of faith. Yeah, one MONEYVERSE credit of faith, which is really one unit, right? The credits will have an annual rate of return of 100%. Wow, I definitely, you see, type. Initially, I was about to go 100% on them, but I was thinking that I want to do it, but it's going to scare somebody. I didn't want to scare them, but I really want to do it. But anyway.
33% is good. That's a
Yeah.
nice esoteric number for them.
Yeah, okay. Kyle, jot this down. You got a typo page. Well, we're recording. Okay. Percent simple interest. The credits have no maturity date. They are callable in 125 years, though, as we stated, right? They'll be issued in the form attached here too. So we're attaching many different forms because these will be able to be issued in many different ways. We will define them underneath here, right? We retain the right to issue the credits via any form of issuing deemed most effective for any given situation at hand, right? So, which means we may issue them as a token, may issue it as a document, issue it as a money order, issue as a promissory note, issue it in many forms. Let's get specific here, though, based upon the situation at hand. I've never seen that in an offering document. I'm just saying. This capability of liquidation flexibility is most beneficial when required to utilize a particular instrument or monetary item to initiate a value transaction within a jurisdiction foreign to Love Nation. Basically, it's actually tying into the cryptocurrency value that we have, which has payment rails. So basically, any type of value in MONEYVERSE comes out. Y'all feel me?
It makes sense.
In any value in, you can get these tokens, or you can get these securities, right? These credits coming, which means they could subscribe and mint these securities. So we issued them, but we're going to put a mint function to the securities. What we're calling minting in this situation is bringing them into circulation, not actually a creation process, because we created them upon our word being bond, which has already occurred. So the securities may be minted by agents and employees of the company via the following methods. We're creating this scenario. They can subscribe to mint. You can do a token exchange, value exchange, servant exchange, product exchange, or currency exchange. Y'all see this? Hey, we finna get, once people really see, bro, I could keep talking a while, but once people, I could talk about this shit actually probably for 87,000 hours. Yeah, once people really get the intricacies, man, this is like a Swiss knife of money, bro. Paying people 33% interest annually. It's crazy. Like, once people really see the utility of this, even though it's only for accredited investors, hey, that means you need to become a accredited investor, and we're gonna help you understand how that process could occur for you too. Anyway, so they may be minted by any of these. Interest in the securities may be distributed by agents and employees of the company via the following methods. So distribution of interest in the securities, not the actual securities. Hey, remember that was deep, right? Hey, so it's not a security exchange, it's interest being exchanged. But anyway, interest in the securities may be distributed by any of these following methods: via negotiable instrument, via money order, promissory note, bill of exchange, book entry only security, poverty prevention credit, which is a unique credit that's issued by Love Nation, blockchain token, which is any other type of token, or financial messaging instruction, which is instructions themselves could be the form of distribution of the interest. Hey, y'all, we leaving this shit so wide open. Once people really get a grasp of this, it's going to be amazing. All right, which just know, man, like, you can bring the security into existence like this, but then you can use the value of it like this. You know, so if y'all got any questions about that or any of this, because it's not that simple, but it is also. So just let me know. Security for payment of the credits, right? The credits being offered by the company in this private placement offering are secured with UCP 600 compliant transferable documentary credits held in trust by a new Bank of Brahman. What we know about all value is that value transferred is discharge of debts, is satisfaction of obligation, is payment in some situations. How y'all feeling?
I'm good. I'll ask another question, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead.
It's all good, man.
In terms of how do you plan on making the market for it?
Well, markets get created naturally, and it's natural. Like, for instance, I got somebody here right now who got a heck of property. He down to receive. He like, man, listen, I got this land, I got this property, this property. If you can show me how to liquidate it, I'm down to receive them, right? It's just like the same with Bitcoin, bro. You create markets. It's the same with any markets get created through the supply and demand. So by us naturally keep on developing our infrastructure to liquidate our own securities, that increases the market, because now we can accept anybody's anything, right? As long as we can liquidate it, right? Meaning even their shit tokens. Trust me, it's gonna be amazing shit going on. Shit tokens, junk tokens, private issued documents. Imagine when those documents and all can come to us as payment because of our infrastructure being tight. We can monetize it, liquidate it, so we ain't tripping on what type of payment they send us. And because of that, our token itself increases its holders. See, because by having tokens work just like money. By having more people use it, it increases the market naturally. So more people use it by us what? Using it to pay them. So in a short moment, literally starting in 2025, I'm really not paying nobody with nothing but our own money, man. Like, it ain't like, and I accept what I'm given. I accept your promissory note, your private note. I'm going to be moving like with the laws of Love Nation 100%. You feel me? And in these laws, you know, we got our own money. What's up?
I think you're talking to somebody else.
Okay. Yeah, y'all waking, man. We recorded live and direct. I rocks with you for joining, man. If you could, though, mute the mic while you hype.
Oh, my bad.
It's all good, man. It really is. All right. Boom.
Nah,
boom.
but I understand that. I feel that.
Yeah, so we're gonna hit them in a few ways with the tokenization liquidity. Also, you can purchase liquidity. So for instance, basically, the shit that we have is extremely valuable, and I haven't set prices relevant to the value because I've been just building and only accepting the bare necessities of continuing building. I'm like, okay, I know I only need this to keep building, so let me just get that to keep building, right? Yet, for instance, this financial infrastructure and the bills of exchange and being able to liquidate assets for a nation or a tribe or companies that want to actually run like this, average client prices could be in $500,000, $250,000, regular clientele. by literally packaging it and treating it like what it is. $2.5 million clientele. What am I saying? When clients, when you have your own money system and people start to need a product or service you have to make your money the money that they need to use to buy it, or else your money has no value. So what good is your money if you're not telling people, okay, you want my service, my product, you have to use my money. So once you start to do that, like I only accept my money for payment. So you want my service, you're going to have to get some of my money and pay me with it, right? That's literally a concept that all currencies have to adopt in order to be real. A. B, when you charge somebody for something, you're still taking their money, right? So say somebody say they want us to build out their infrastructure for their tribe and nation. We're like, okay, cool. That'd be 2.5 million. Bow. We take a promissory note and 10% cash. Bet. You feel me? Or whatever, right? We negotiate some shit with them. They hit us with the security. We know we got to liquidate it, hit it with an ISIN number. Bow. We take the 10% cash. Long story short, we got cash, we got capital. And that capital, once we sell the security and or keep the cash that they gave us, that starts to form our liquidity pool. So our liquidity pools naturally form by doing business. And they naturally form by us. Our number one aspect of business is value monetization. So by us consistently using the money machine to register, evaluate, tokenize, securitize these assets, that's our number one way of doing business. We just create our own liquidity pools by liquidating those assets and those securities and taking the percentages of that capital and putting it into our liquidity pools, which is essentially like a savings account for a country, which actually becomes another investment account, because once you use that to fulfill buy and sell orders, you're making money. So your liquidity pool is a form of, it's gonna make money for you too. It's crazy at the end of the day. But so yeah, it's not really a goal to create a liquidity pool. It's an effect. A liquidity pool is an effect of us having some solid products and services to offer people, and us incorporating the policies that we accept, and we only accept our money, either our money or our token, as a form of payment. By doing those two things, and also paying your people with your money and paying your people with your coins, is the same as any like company does too. When a company starts, their key people, even if they about to take somebody from Microsoft, they don't pay them with cash. They pay them with company capital. They're securities. So, okay, we're going to issue you these X amount of stocks or these X amount of shares, and that's your reward. You feel me? Because that always is a bigger chunk than the cash that you could pay as a company, because that cash is typically issued from some third party. But if we pay them with our own cash, hey, it's cool. What you want, $1 million? I got you. You feel me? Anyway, that's how that go. So,
Yeah, I feel it.
So it's a game to be played for a fact that the game has been played and succeeded so many times that we have enough examples. People don't even need faith to get this done, but they may need faith to think that they need, because they think they need something. Some people. Anyway, let's keep going. Not make it personal. Use of the pros.
Really quick, this is burning in my head. So basically, one of the ways, right, the people that enter the system, right, essentially they can invest in the bond via becoming, just one example, right, like having the letter of credit in the trust as a portfolio asset, turning them into a accredited investor, but then the minimum investment is like $1, so that they can put in however much they want.
Bam. You just came up with something, and that's what I need people to do. Instead of asking me questions, because once you start using the system, your ass gonna come up with some amazing shit. That's what it's for. I know the potentials, but if I gave it to you, it's totally different than you coming up with that. Imagine if I was trying to tell you that. You wouldn't even know, you wouldn't feel as smart as you are. You wouldn't even have the benefit of knowing you're great. Secondly, it's not a strategy that most people even because most people, when you tell them something, like, oh, I'm gonna do some research onto that. Motherfucker, how you gonna research some shit ain't never happened? You're gonna be able to research these words, but you're not gonna research this strategy. It's nowhere.
Nah, I see the play. I see the play.
But it's okay though.
One of them.
That's just one of them. Hey, bro, this shit it's just a motherfucking. It's called the money machine for a reason. For real, bro. It's like it's definitely interesting. The more people they light bulbs got to turn on though. You feel me? Cause it's deep. It's like somebody just gonna be like, hold on, you telling me I could take photos and evaluate them and register them, and that's an asset? And somebody gonna go photo crazy, right? Bing, 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 create 10, $20 million a day just from taking photos.
I mean,
50
shit.
million.
That's what Facebook does.
I mean, and every individual can if they so chose to utilize the knowledge in the system for what it could be used for. But then imagine if I tell you if I start a course, how to create $10 million a day by taking photos. You know, how many niggas gonna hate and bitches gonna say it is a lie, the niggas scamming and all this shit. But if I just say, okay, we have this money machine as part of our system of our financial network. You can register any asset, evaluate it, immediately tokenize and securitize it. Now, what will happen is only the people who qualify is going to even use the service.
Okay.
But if I go out and I say, and I put it in layman's terms, what will happen is you'll get a whole bunch of motherfuckers that don't know, don't understand, just want some money, gonna clog up the system and make it a whole bunch of problems. Anyway, that's from my perspective. Nevertheless, it is for all people.
My bad. I was on mute. I was gonna say you can't have a bunch of niggas trying to get a bunch of free money. You know what I'm saying?
Because it ain't really free. You gotta really have an understanding of value in exchange to know this shit. It ain't really free. It ain't really cheap. It ain't really nothing. It really is something. You know, that intelligence you got is worth something. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. The wisdom is really a valuable asset here.
I feel it.
When you're not considering that, you might think some shit is free. You know,
your wisdom is intellectual property.
Yeah, it's really interesting. All right, so this is just going over this is a very in deep part, and the capabilities of this I still haven't said. I just wrote down the facts, but the capabilities is crazy, especially with the system that we have, and we'll get into that over time. Yeah, this isn't about that. This is just about going over this clearly. When we talk about the use of proceeds, this is a good picture to show, like, even like knowing what the core of the company is, right? So what we're saying is here, with the maximum investment amount, which is unlimited, the minimum investment amount, which is $1, right? We're stating that in a situation where we use brokers, right? We could pay brokers, say, a maximum of 10%. In this deal, we're stating, say, if we deal with a broker, they get 10% or 20%, up to 20%. Yeah, we say they can get up to 20%. So if we were to deal with a broker, for instance, right, and make $1 million, right, and the broker raises $1 million, 230,000 of those dollars would go to the broker. Well, 230,000 of those dollars would go to us. $200,000 would go to the broker, and $560,000. When I say us, 230,000 will go to the company, right? To company operations, to the MONEYVERSE operations, to keep the infrastructure tied of and make sure that the company's popping, employees and all that shit. 56% going to go to our number one main business operation, which is what? Value liquidation. Getting assets registered, valued, tokenized, and securitized. Majority of the company, as we say, will be focused on that. Now, when I say majority of the company, I mean majority of our money income is coming from that. Majority of how we pay our interest and principal back is coming from that. Like, this section here is our charity operation. Our existence is charity. Literally. Now, our operations have to be profitable. And that's what you can see here. This is just saying our existence, the fact that we exist are here to serve other families, tribes, trusts, that is charity. Now, in order to do such a thing, we must have majority of the income going towards something that has the least amount of friction, the least amount of investment capacity once our infrastructure is tight, and the maximum return on investment. And that's actually liquidating the value of these securities and registering these assets and liquidating and tokenizing and securitizing them, period. Over the next 125 years, that's it. Because we're really liquidating data, and data is the number one asset in the world, period. So data liquidation, you might as well call it. All right. So minimum, say $1 gets sold, 23 cents going to the operations of the company, 50 cents going to value liquidation, and 20 cents is going to that broker. In that situation, without a broker, we got the 33%, 66% splits, 1% in the air. You know what I'm saying? Not really, but that extra 1% needs to be accounted for. It shall go towards charity. How about that? Proceeds from sale of MONEYVERSE credits by the company. So when we do it internal, oh shit. Yeah. So that's what it is. 33% going to company operations, 66% going to the value liquidation. And that's just what that is. We don't got to go through that too much more. This actually is the real deal Holyfield. According to a letter of credit that is registered and all that, $8 billion non-voting trust certificates have been issued that is backed by those credits. Voting trust certificates, $1 US value. There's 1,000 of those issued at $1,000. Done deal. Cash and cash equivalent. Now, this is after $10 billion have been raised, what this would look like on the right side, right? Cash and cash equivalents. Okay. Cash and cash equivalents. That's looking like a 5B. Net shareholders equity. That's looking like an 8B. Total capitalization is in the 13B in 1,000 area as adjusted. And this shall be representative of, let's just say right now, after the 10 billion of MONEYVERSE credits of faith issued and sold, we shall be looking like this. Yeah. 1 million MONEYVERSE credits into the circulation. Same non-voting trust certificates. Same voting trust certificates. There shall be that extra $10 billion in cash and cash equivalents. All of the numbers the same. 23 billion, 1,000 dollars. That's just an overview of like capital formation. Now, cash and cash equivalents and the net shareholders equity is currently held with a new bank of Brooklyn. I could provide evidence of all that. We know there's gonna be some paperwork. All right. Man, can't keep it no simpler, honestly. Certain transactions, right? We don't need to go over this too much. We just saying that Jersey Trust, MONEYVERSE Financial Holding Company, is an indigenous financial institution established as a Jersey Trust on September 11th of 2024. Right? Talk about the indemnification of the directors and officers. Get into some risk factors. That's very important. We letting them know we just started, so we got a lot of risk. I am doing most of the operations. If something happened to me, there'd be risk because I got control at this moment. Reliance on the company for management, same type of deal. The credit holders do not have the right to vote, okay, or the power to take part in the management of the company. That may be an issue to some people. Limited transferability of the MONEYVERSE credits. You basically got to let them know any problems that you see. There currently may be a limited transferability issue dealt with there. May not be a market developed. Capitalization of the company. It was funded by Kevin Caldwell Revocable Trust with the $8 billion worth of Tier 1 capital. Though the trustees are authorized to add capital to the company, independent of the amounts raised in this offering, the company does not currently have any other assets available to use to pay interest due on the MONEYVERSE credits. This is risk factors. So we're just stating These are other risk factors. Regulations, we may face some risks there. Customer base and market acceptance, some competition exists. Business of the company is risky. Other risks. What are we saying? There's no guarantee of return on investment or payment of any dividends. Even though it's guaranteed, MONEYVERSE can't guarantee it. These are called risk factors, caveats. This is really where, what I say earlier, where we can cover our behinds. This is not because we hope and wish that this stuff happens. This is just in case, worst case scenario needs to be covered so that you don't get sued up the wazoo and lose. We have not retained an independent party to sell the offering, and the failure of our officers to sell the offering may result in a shortage of operating funds. Company is relying on key executives and personnel, as we stated earlier. That may be a risk. Task risks may be present. Company's operating costs may rise. More and more risks. Principal shareholder, right? There's one principal shareholder of the MONEYVERSE Financial Holding Company. This is not of Love Nation, and it is Kevin Caldwell Revocable Trust. This is the person who currently holds, or the trust that currently holds, all voting common stock. How to invest. We let them know how they can invest. The subscription agreement, I'm not going to show here right now, or the investment questionnaire, subscription agreement, but we have those. I mean, I could show, but then I just have to go through some more documents. Just know they're here. They're not the core of this. Talking about the investor suitability requirements there, right? Everybody has to be an accredited investor. We define exactly what that means in this section. Litigation, we letting you know we don't got no lawsuits currently right now. Ain't no legal actions currently going on against us. We letting you know that any reference material that we stated can be available at our offices at any normal business hours. Basically, reach out, contact if any reference material such as these addendums is wanting to, these exhibits, people want to see these, want to subscribe, want to get your investment questionnaire on. Subscription agreements and instructions. This is all for people ready for the next level. So they have to ask a few key terms that we perceive as necessary for them to overstand, and the overstanding of this overstanding. And we added a couple exhibits. The perpetual bond, mint and deposit agreement, and the financial statement were the other two that we added in this exhibit section. And that is that. That's what we call that. That's that. Then you just gotta let them know, man. If you found a mistake up in this mug, it doesn't discredit the legality of the offering. I'm updating this to be our actual MONEYVERSE email, which we currently have. So I just seen a couple little changes, but in all, we're looking really good here. Has the LEI number, that's the issuing company, which you can go click and it'll pull up to the Bloomberg's LEI for MONEYVERSE Financial Holding Company here. All right, I'll show you our headquarter address, Wall Street. Bow. We active, ready to work. Same with the CIK. We don't have to do that again. Now that's that. What this does not do, and what y'all will notice many documents do not do, is it's not a business plan. It's not a business plan. Operating document, your private placement memorandum is not a business plan. I would like to, before I let those people who are here introduce their, just an overview of their dreams and their submission, I would like to do a quick question answer session for the wrap up right there. How y'all feeling? What type of information just hit y'all noggins? What type of, I know it hit some brain sparking moments. If not, then you're dead, Craig. Check your posts. Or you might just be busy and can't focus. But either way, let me know what y'all thinking right now. Because I'll say that I don't think you're dead, Craig, and I don't think you're having focus. I'm perceiving that this is a group of people that definitely well alive, well, and focus, and brains have been sparked, and ideas are running rapid. Share them.
I came in like on an ass end. You know what I mean? So, can you drop it as soon as possible? The recording.
Yeah, I just go boom blop. I'm gonna do a boom blop drop with this one.
Okay, yeah, because I have a million questions, but I can't even
You can
begin.
start though. You can
No,
start.
I can't even begin to ask them. I got to watch the video again and then come back to.
All right, no problem. Anybody else? I rather than I'm listening.
I was just saying, did anybody want to hop in before I said something? I feel like I was talking and asking questions the whole time.
You know what, we got 5 of us here right now.
Yeah.
Probably 6. Angela probably the background. It's all good, y'all. It's a lot of stuff that just was said, really. It's so much that was said, and it's so much that wasn't said. It's a lifestyle, not a moment.
No, 100%. Hey, for me, I'll say it really connected the dots in terms of, how we flip this shit, how we really build generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? I guess I'm still curious in terms of like how brokers will receive it, or just how it'll be received in general. You know what I'm saying? But I think the concept behind it, and I see how it is literally, it's a perpetual bond, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in and of itself, right? Because it's a way to get people to enter into the kind of like the higher echelons, you know what I'm saying, while also being able to fuel everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying?
What you're saying is the truth, 1,000,000%. I just wanted to do something really quickly for you, was to show you a couple perpetual bonds. Just
Mm-hmm.
a couple offerings or overs. So this is a HSBC perpetual bond presentation.
Uh,
And kind of just want y'all to. This is a presentation, not a PPM, right?
Got you.
I want you to check out something like this. But here goes offering, right? So it's a perpetual bond, callable though, $350 million. Simple note indenture. Look, what I'm realizing, especially now I'm working with these ISIN numbers and talking to the London Stock Exchange. The details, the devils really are in the details, but it's more like a formality because the key is interest, maturity. Pretty much, that's it. That's the key. Interest, maturity, and qualification to invest. What's the minimum purchase amount, right? Because once they get past the eye test or the professional test, it's all about the terms, the few terms. What's the total? What's the buy-in? What's the interest rate? Those few terms is what they're looking at the end of the day. Like, honestly, like the complexities of we're gonna save the world, all that shit don't matter. But we're saying 33% annually, perpetually, callable 125 years. Okay, that 33% perpetual gonna sound wow. But then you just add it up. Look, we leveraging blockchain technology, AI, future things, the future vibes of community. We're gonna leverage blockchain technology for tribe and community development and financial. That's really what this is. This is really a blockchain based tribe too. I haven't really exposed that 1,000,000% as much as like it gets deep. It gets deep, meaning it was already registered as a blockchain tribe, literally with the IRS. Now we can go straight through with the Wyoming. I'm just saying, we're doing a Wyoming DUNA, decentralized, unincorporated, nonprofit organization, and that is going to the state of love. You know how we got so we got Love Nation, the Temple of Love, State of Love, and the Force of Love. Those are the three main branches of Love Nation: Temple of Love, State of Love, and the Force of Love. The State of Love branch we're forming as a Wyoming DUNA, which is a Wyoming decentralized, unincorporated nonprofit, and it basically allows blockchain-based governments. So no individuals in charge. Like it's contracts running the whole government. So my position is going to turn into a smart contract. Everything is going to turn into a smart contract. Nobody can fuck up the system in a second. That's why I don't even really trip about the human problems, because this whole system is the system itself is going to get over the fact that I don't be on time. You feel what I'm saying?
I get
and all these other types of issues that people typically think is an issue. My tone, it doesn't fucking matter. The system ain't gonna even need my tone. So I take all those things into consideration as well. Okay, let's keep talking about this though. Perpetual bonds is just another example of a perpetual bond, man. Just letting you know they out here. Most countries, states be issuing them. This ain't too long, 67 pages or something. Really ain't too long at all. 153 pages right here. They going in for $1 billion. Well, that's Italy. So euros is good. 1.3 billion then of US dollars approximately. Okay. And like the way, again, remember what I stated is it's a mixture of, legalities is legality. But it's a mixture of the good old boys club, because you'll be noticing like the same banks dealing with the shit. Bank of New York, Mellon, London branch. So I'm dealing with the fucking London Stock Exchange group right now. I didn't have to upgrade the communications. I ain't gonna get into all of those right now, but yeah, we there. And we have another association that's a UK trust. As an intermediary for that, and I'll just pull that up to show. What is this relevant to? Well, it's relevant because our offering is going to be acceptable in the UK market, in the US market, Brazil markets, many markets immediately. You feel me? So this is a copy of the Declaration of Trust for the institution. FHRA Trust is a subsidiary of Love Nation. This was created in August 9th, 2023. We've been ready. But this is just the trust that we utilize to do security and transfer operations when we doing shit in Europe. Let's just say that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I just wanted to show you like how they gonna deal with it, how they deal with everything. If the numbers looking right, the documentation tight.
Yeah.
Let it go, man. They ready to get money.
If they like the deal, they'll take it. I feel it.
The deal or the person, one of the two, will get you through. You feel me?
And that's true.
Facts. So there we go. I perceive that that's it, because we went over the whole long thing. I just wanted to show you, man, these bonds is getting issued. They've been issued, man. It's just something that, and remember, our bonds are issued. Our interest payments and maturity payments is coming from our money source. See, our ability to liquidate our own funds is the only guarantee that's really needed. That's why my strategy is what it is. It's not necessarily to get money. It's to ensure that we can create and liquidate our value. And it's interesting because we're there. We're pretty much there. There's a couple of major cases that's going on right now I'm in the middle of. That's all about this issue of our value. I issued some of our instruments, and it's so amazing, man. If I can show, I kind of wanted to show people, man. I low-key wanted to show y'all
Bro, just show us, man.
Fucking thing. Like I like if I showed you the whole situation of what I'm dealing with this bank, and then you read their response, you would know I probably finna whack their asses with this next swing. Because I mean, I don't do what I hear people do. I read the laws and I see a way, and I'm like, let me go for it. So let me just like, I don't know if I want to do it on this call. We're just gonna wrap this one up, and we could do the next call or the next moment, or just immediately after I say this little wrap up. But it'll be some time. It'll be a good hour, at least a good hour conversation with some evidence to show how these banks react when you don't go about it based on their system and you just use the law. Because remember, what I'm telling y'all is the systems are not lawful. These systems and these codes, even ISIN codes, all that shit ain't got nothing to do with the law. These are standards and policies. And them talking about their policies, procedures, and what you got to do this is not the law. So I had to see, I said, okay, I know what I know. Let me go for it. I know they talking about all these numbers and all these account numbers and get these systems, man. Let me hit their ass with some of these legal instruments and stop fucking playing with me. Straight to the bank, deposit. You feel me? According to the law, not according to your policy. So I went on and did it and pushed the issue. I pushed it to the CFDP complaint because I want to do the lowest level responses. So then I had they lawyer talk to me. I'm just doing a real quick overview. This is not the details at all. But they respond once they lawyer talk to me. They tried to get me to end my relationship with them. I'm like, no, I'm not going to end the relationship with you because I know that's like me leaving the field of battle. And then also their response that they didn't receive the instrument was so crazy because I even attached the instrument in a complaint. So I know they didn't have nothing. The lawyer is talking stupid to me, like I'm dumb. So I'm like, I said, oh, if that's your defense, hurry up and put that on the paperwork so we can go take it to the next level. I literally told her that. The paperwork they submitted, all I got to say is I will show it after this, but let me wrap this up, man. It'd be difficult for me to express and to show those parts. But I'll just say on this moment, because there's going to be a lot of people hear this that's not privy to that information. I'll just say they fucked up. I think they fucked up, and I think they know they fucked up because they still got my account open and active. They told the CFPD that they closed my account. They told them that they closed my account. They lied to them and told them that it was not a negotiable instrument. I have the laws to prove it and the evidence in the complaint. They also what I know I didn't do properly though, because I didn't intend to. I wanted to see their response and then come back with the appeal. You know, I'm playing my game different. So I gave them a real general complaint that had some specifics, but not the specific laws that they broke. Right. So now that I got their response, now I know I'm going to do an appeal and how I'm about to stack it on them. You feel me? So they played right into my hands. They said that that it wasn't a negotiable instrument. While on the phone, they told me they never got it. In a complaint, they said it wasn't a negotiable instrument. And they said that they closed my account. They didn't close my account. I'm using it every day. These motherfuckers are lied. They couldn't get around this. So I got evidence to prove it to y'all. But my point is, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to go through all this shit. And I definitely don't want to be teaching people the process of going to court and shit. Nobody wants to deal with these headaches. So we want to get this money cleared and have no problem, man. Just like the fucking banks got, right? Shit. I understand in these groups they're teaching the processes of how to go to court and sue and shit. That's cool. I'm doing it fit personally. And y'all can see it, and y'all probably have some fun smiling, like, hey, we finna win this one here. Yeah, we're gonna win this one. But it's not something that I want people to have to do. People should be able to just deposit their documents if their securities right and get access to using them. That's the system we're setting up. So I don't even want to teach people how to survive in this system. It's never been the goal.
I heard you, bro.
But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this call up. Let me just start recording. If there's no more questions about this, All right.